The Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast.
Welcome to the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society, a podcast dedicated to suspense, crime, and horror stories from the golden age of radio. I'm Aaron.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua.
We love mysterious old-time radio stories, but do they stand the test of time? That's what we're here to find out.
This week we're listening to an episode of My Choosing, and it's from a show we haven't featured before, Rod Serling's series 0 Hour. Today's selection from the series is titled Skylab, Are You There?
Young Rod Serling was inspired by the thrillers and tales of adventure he heard on the radio as a boy, counting Arch Oboler as one of his favorite writers. He began his own writing career in 1950, working for WLW Radio in Cincinnati. But it wasn't until he moved to television that he really made a name for himself with creations such as The Twilight Zone and Night Gallery. The Twilight Zone premiered in October of 1959 and ran for 5 seasons, and Night Gallery began with a pilot in November of 1969 and ran until May of 1973.
Soon after Night Gallery left the air, Serling returned to radio with the anthology series 0 Hour. At first, the series would broadcast 5 days a week, telling one story in 5 parts each week. For the second season, the show kept its 5 days per week format, but each episode was its own complete story instead. Each week featured a particular actor in all 5 installments. During the week of May 27th through May 31st of 1974, which included Skylab, Are You There?, the featured actor was William Shatner.
Serling and Shatner had famously worked before in the episode Nightmare at 20,000 Feet from the Twilight Zone. They reunited for an episode of Night Gallery entitled Can a Dead Man Strike from the Grave? After Shatner's iconic turn as Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek, he was at a point in his career where it was difficult to find quality roles. Happily for Shatner, Serling could see past the stereotyping that was proving to be an obstacle at the time.
We should also point out for any listeners who may be too young to recall, Skylab was a real thing. It was the United States' first space station and was occupied from May of 1973 to February 1974, 3 months before the episode was broadcast. It did suffer damage to its solar panel arrays, and the crew did have to perform repairs and free up one of the arrays that wasn't opening. Ultimately, the orbit of the unoccupied station decayed, and it's disintegrated in the atmosphere on July 11th, 1979. But for now, let's turn back the clocks to the 0 Hour and ask the question, Skylab, Are You There? First broadcast May 30th, 1974.
It's late at night, and a chill has set in. You're alone, and the only light you see is coming from an antique radio. Listen to the sounds coming from the speaker. Listen to the music, and listen to the voices.
I'm Rod Serling. You're listening to the 0 Hour. Rest your eyes. Exercise your imagination. Today, Keith Walker's double tale of terror in space. Skylab, are you there? Starring William Shatner. In a Mutual Broadcasting System presentation of the 0 Hour.
Brought to you by the Ford Motor Company, Shenley Industries, Matus Wine, Beech Nut Chewing Tobacco, and Dial Soap. This is the 0 Hour on Mutual Radio.
This is Hugh Downs with another car buyer's report from Ford. Comparing the total cost of ownership is the only way to be sure you get your money's worth when buying a new car. And Ford says there are 3 important considerations that make up the total cost of ownership: purchase price, operating economy, and trade-in value. Don't overlook that last one, trade-in value. I'd like to give you some interesting facts about trade-in that are difficult for the average consumer to come by. Like the fact that based on a national average of NADA wholesale prices, both the 1973 Torino and the 1973 Gran Torino returned more of their original purchase price than their closest sales competition. The facts speak for themselves. A solid, well-made car will generally return more at trade-in. Ford says that's one of the reasons why Torino is the best-selling car in its class.
The closer you look, the better we look.
Beyond the fragile envelope of air that protects this planet lurk many mysteries of the universe not yet revealed to us. But consider this. Perhaps they have been. But there is a decree from some higher authority that will not allow us to be told. What then?
How are you coming, John?
Solar panels are tricky. Number 4 still won't extend. Wait, I thought I felt something move.
Anything?
No, for a minute there. I'll keep working. This is Houston. Do you copy?
Go ahead, Houston.
What is your status on the panels? Panels 2 and 3 now fully extended and operational. The arm on 4 panel is still askew in its channel. Roger, let us know if we should recompute any of your program. Wait, it's shifting.
John, what's wrong?
Telemetry on Colonel F's vital signs fluctuating erratically.
John, can you hear me? John! Pat, suit up. I'm going out. Right. Houston, are you copying?
Roger, Skylab.
Colonel Ebb is not responding, maybe injured. Dr. Kent and I are suiting up now. We will depressurize, and I will attempt to bring Ebb back in.
Roger, Skylab. Dick Conroy is on his way to the floor. He'll be taking over.
Pat, switch on your suit transmitter.
Should be both go out. No, you stay here and set up your surgery. Skylab, this is Houston.
Dick Conroy, are you copying?
Roger, Dick. We are now depressurizing lab. Jack, you need tonight. Right, popping hatch.
Jack, Ebb's signs are weakening.
Roger, Houston. Stand by. Houston, I'm setting up the mobile video scan silver side.
We will monitor. Skylab, we are showing attitude change on the station. Can you advise?
Phone 1, we're set. Houston, can you read the patch?
5 by 5, Jack.
I am drifting toward the capsule. Houston, I can confirm. We're rotating laterally at 6 RPM. Also slight horizontal rotate, but erratic. Houston, it's possible that when the panel popped, its torque caused the station to spin.
That must be corrected immediately. Angle rotation will cause orbit decay.
Can you give me time brackets on delay correction?
Austin, set it up on the computer.
Roger. I can see him. The colonel drifted out to the extreme of his lifeline. John, can you hear me?
Pat, that's good on the camera. We're following visually.
No movement from him. Almost there.
Vital signs very erratic.
I got him. Bringing him in now.
Roger. Pat, can you take decay corrections?
I'm standing by surgery. Can you execute corrections from your station?
Roger. Set up on the board computer through Orient Circuit. We will feed.
Pat, coming in. Give me a hand. Here. Pressurize. Houston, we are inside. I'm going to say.
Transmitter, are you copying?
We are copying.
Jack, look at his chest.
Let's get his suit on. Houston, Colonel Ebb's on the table. Pat is examining him now. I am checking capsule.
Standing by, Skylab.
Houston, Ebb has a massive chest convection. Possibly 6 ribs shotted. 2 feel as if they may have shifted into the heart wall.
Skylab, you will have to abort the mission.
Roger, Houston, I'm working on that now.
Pat, what are chances we bring him down?
Better than if he stays here. The sooner the better.
Hold it, Pat. Houston, we have a problem. We cannot abort. I repeat, we cannot abort. Return capsule will not take pressurization, and number 2 fuel tank punctured.
Are you sure, Jack?
Positive, Houston. Fragments of the solar panel must have punctured capsule. We cannot return to Earth.
Hey, Matus Rosé. Matus is an old-world rosé wine people enjoy everywhere. Like down in the Delta, they know the blues are what you make it, and that the light, easy-to-like taste of Matus Rosé makes the meal. Hey, Matus Rosé. Matus is out of sight, but you see it everywhere. And in New England, Matus Rosé is perfect for that elegant evening on the town. Matus, the rosé wine that goes with everything good, anywhere, anytime at all. Hey, Matus Rosé. Imported by Dreyfus Ashby and Company, New York, New York.
Dick, here are the figures for the shoot.
Good.
Dick, you're going to wipe yourself out.
Can the sympathy. I'm sorry, you're right.
These show the Saturn on pad 9 will be operational in 11 hours.
How about Eckert?
He's lucky. He just finished simulation. He'll be ready when we are.
Well, let's give the good news to Skylab. Potter, activate the link. Thanks. Skylab, this is Houston.
We are copying, Houston.
Is Jack monitoring?
Yes, sir. He's in the capsule but packed.
We can mount a Saturn for rescue. We go to countdown in 30 minutes. Major Kenyon Eckert will be command pilot. We are programmed for an 11-hour count, and if we get lucky, wait a minute, strike that, we are lucky. We can rendezvous at 20 hours, 30 minutes.
Houston, we don't have much time. Colonel Ebb is critical, barely holding his own, still unconscious. Heart is giving very erratic readings.
We're all praying. Jack, do you copy?
Right, Houston, no luck here. The capsule's worse than I thought. Even if I could get up pressure. Houston, stand by. Colonel Ebb's heart has stopped. I'm attempting a goal of heart rate.
Skylab, your transmission has been interrupted. Say again. Skylab, do you copy? This is Houston, Skylab. Are you there?
Dick, I'm getting telemetry on the lab, but...
But what?
You're not going to believe this. There is no telemetry on life signs.
That can't be.
See for yourself.
That's crazy. According to this, there's no one on the station.
Dick, they're locking down the hatch now.
All right. Let me know when Eckert comes up. And keep the press out. Have PR tell them we'll do a conference once Eckert's on his way.
Eckert.
Right. Major Eckert, Conroy, how do you feel?
Perfect. You're ready on a rush.
So do you. We are T-minus 30 and counting.
Roger, I'm ready to fly this bird.
So are we.
Anything new on station?
No, and we're not telling the press anything except we've got a communication problem. Remember that when you get on the command circuit.
Got it. That's hard to figure.
Got to be a simple explanation. But we know they're there. I know it.
Yeah. Well, where else could they be?
30 seconds and counting.
Second stage tanks now pressurized.
25 seconds.
Power transfer complete.
20 seconds and counting.
All systems go.
Guidance is now internal.
15 seconds.
Green. All systems green.
10, 9. Ignition sequence starts.
All systems go.
Looking good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All engines firing.
Beautiful. T plus 10.
Now it's 60,000, all reading green.
Coming up on second stage.
Pitch program engaged.
All readings still go for second stage.
Second stage firing, 10 seconds.
All right. Way to go. Beautiful.
All right. Take your seats. Calm down. I've got a prepared statement. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to take this as it is. I've got no time for questions. Here's the status. Major Eckert is approximately 1 hour from docking with Skylab. He'll transfer Colonel Ebb to the capsule and bring him back to Earth.
Well, yeah, but
now, hold it. Will you hold it, please? There's no reason to believe they're not up there. I know what's on your mind, but let me assure you in all probability there's been simply a communication failure. And that's all it is. Eckert's job is simply to return Colonel Ebb. That will give us a breather and time to figure out how to make the necessary repairs in the capsule. That's it.
Major,
My assistant, Austin Reynolds.
Are you getting any more?
Houston, I now have a matching orbit with Skylab.
Roger, rescue. What's it look like?
Like a tomb. No sign of life through the ports. I'm now depressurizing the capsule. I'll walk across to the station. I'm now leaving capsule. I will secure a line to the station from the capsule.
Roger.
If you'll forgive the analogy, tying up like this makes me think of the horse and buggy.
Modern ingenuity, Major.
Approaching station hatch.
Austin, any change in telemetry?
Nothing, Dick. The suspense is killing me.
Yeah.
Houston, I'm inside the station. Houston, there's no one here.
Aren't you glad?
Glad is what happens when you use dial soap.
Aren't you glad?
It starts right out with a clean, fresh scent that's like nothing else.
Aren't you glad?
To get you going clean and fresh.
Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad?
Dial washes away the cause of odor on your skin.
Aren't you glad?
You just can't buy a better deodorant soap than Dial.
Aren't you glad?
And that's saying something.
Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad? You use style. Aren't you glad?
Rescue, this is Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
You are to prepare for return. We're reprogramming for re-entry, and we'll feed the data shortly. We have several assignments for you to accomplish before then.
I'm copying.
Set up the cabin for video scan. We're going to fine-tooth comb on video for examination. Also have the infrared adapter ready, then pull all film from the analyzers and transfer to your vehicle.
Roger. Video scan is now operating. Take it any time.
Switching now. Major Eckert, are you sure you switched the scan to inboard relay?
Roger, Houston. I show power on the equipment.
Okay, stand by one. Dick, can you come here?
What do you got?
A carrier wave, but no picture. It's almost as if there's some strong energy source blocking transmission.
Slide over. I'll use your board. Eckert, check your gamma analyzer now.
All right, doing it now. Hey, that's high, Conroy. About 5/12 interior.
Okay, stand by.
What do you think you've got?
Just a hunch. Crazy. Probably nothing. Eckert, I want you to set up the infra scanner for interior.
Can do. Give me a minute.
Right, and when you've got it set, patch it through the board and scanner circuits. Austin, switch the feed to the board scope.
Working.
Relay now.
What was that?
Houston, what are you getting? I have no monitor.
Eckert, now listen carefully. I want you to pan the scanner left to right and freeze when I say.
Panning.
I've never seen anything like it. Free scan.
Impossible. How?
Houston, what have you got?
Major, we are looking at our Skylab team, plus there is one human form with them.
You mean they're up here with me?
The way it looks, the infra images are very hazy, but I'm sure it's Pat Kent, Jack Elton, and Colonel Ebb. The other form is gesturing and pointing towards the scanner. We've lost the scan. Austin, are you all right?
Yeah. Just lots of spots before my eyes.
Rescue, this is Houston. We're getting no visual on infra. Switch back.
Houston, this is Colonel Ebb.
John? John? Is that you?
Very much so, Dick. Alive and well.
How? Pat said your heart stopped.
Dick, I must request that we discontinue conversation. Would you please go to scramble on the priority circuit?
Roger. Switching now.
Scott, you're read.
Roger, Houston. Dick, we've been requested to keep the following information secret, at least for a time. Pat will fill you in on the beginning sequences.
Houston, what has happened is truly without medical precedent. Colonel Ebb was brought back to life. Mr. Conroy, we have been watched.
What? What do you mean?
At the moment, the Colonel's heart stopped. There was a blinding light shift in the lab. It was accompanied by a physical wrenching, almost as if our lives had shifted in time, which in fact it did. A man, no, better called a humanoid, was suddenly in the lab with us. He, she, told us it had been ordered to return Colonel Ebb to life.
I'll take it, Pat. Houston, the alien's name was Hobb. It left a message for us to play as explanation. Jack is integrating it into your circuits. Are you receiving visual?
Yes. What is that thing?
They call it a communicube.
A tape recorder?
In a way. As they explain it, the cube projects audio and visual into any receiver, electronic or the mind. Stand by.
Hobb is my designator. I am a special monitor assigned to your planet. For the past 600 years, it has been my duty to observe and report your progress toward space exploration. I represent, in your reference term, the Council of Worlds, a higher order civilization of 2,000 world planets. The Council is responsible for admitting new worlds into the Federation when they have attained a proper civilized level. Your planet has not yet attained that status. As the observer, I am gifted with the ability to read alternate futures. When the death of Colonel Ebb occurred, it changed the future course of Earth's progress. This could not be allowed, and thus the Council gave permission for re-life. To explain, Colonel Ebb will be the dominating personality responsible for your reaching the civilized status for membership. He will also be needed for future contact and space exploration. You are advised under maximum penalty to hold this information in absolute secret. Under no circumstance is this to be broadcast to the people of Earth at this time. This is Hobb. We will be waiting.
John, is that all? Yes. The cube has disappeared.
Dick, Hobb's words did not record. And we had to tell no one.
The Council's instructions were very specific. Only that Skylab had a problem with its solar panels and power. That is all.
Under penalties. I hate to think what they might be. Prepare for return to Earth, Skylab.
Roger, Houston. We hear you.
You know a man's world is small and getting smaller every day, but there are certain things you still do. Still say what you think, you still pay for the drinks, and beach nuts the tobacco you chew. Weird ideas taking hold, kids won't do what they're told, who knows what this whole world's coming to. But you keep your face to the wind, you don't quit on a friend, and beach nuts the tobacco you chew. Seems like a man's world just isn't the same anymore, but some things you can still trust, like beech nut chewing tobacco. Beech nut just keeps on getting better. Beech nut's a lot moister these days, with more taste, less stems. Today's beech nut, fresher, longer-lasting flavor. You ought to try it. Girls in bars, girls in pants, a man just don't stand a chance, but there's still ways to show 'em who's who. You treat your dogs with respect, you keep your traps oiled and checked, and beech nut's the tobacco you chew.
I'm Rod Serling. Close your eyes, exercise your imagination, and join us again on our next presentation of The Zero Hour.
Skylab, Are You There? Is an original radio drama written by Keith Walker. William Shatner was heard as Richard Conroy. Featured in the cast were Jacques Denbo, Kathleen Cordell, Casey Kasem, Les Tremaine, and Jack Cushing. Zero Hour, created by J.M. Colas, directed by Don Hills, is produced in Hollywood for the Mutual Broadcasting System by Radio Productions Incorporated. Music is composed and conducted by Stanley B. Hoffman. Rochelle Sherman, associate producer. This has been a presentation of the Mutual Broadcasting System.
That was Skylab, Are You There? From Zero Hour, here on the Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society podcast. Once again, I'm Eric.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Joshua.
And that was Tim's selection this week. Something I knew was out there, and I'm really glad to have finally had the opportunity to be forced to listen to this, because it's always been on my list to try to give this a listen. Just so everybody knows, you're listening to us tell each other for the first time what we think of these. We keep it a secret from each other so that we catch that gold in the recording. And then the other thing is, I don't know anything about what's going on until we read these intros. Right? So I didn't know anything. Tim sends me this thing, like, Zero, or what's that? So first thing, Rod Serling comes on, like, sweet! That's right, Rod Serling. Oh, it got so much better. Tim sent me a Rod Serling thing with William Shatner in it. And I was like, oh, God, Tim, I love you. So I texted him, and I said, Tim, I'm going to hug you so hard. Thank you so much. This is going to be so great. And as I was listening, I texted, I said, oh, my God, is that Casey Kasem? And it just kept getting better and better and better. And then the commercials were still in it, which was phenomenal. What a huge amount of fun that was. Too bad it was terrible.
I was like, oh no. I had the same trajectory, only he stayed aloft.
No.
His solar panels didn't disintegrate like mine did.
It was a really hard listen with all of the radio crackle back and forth and the radio static. And although I appreciate the effort of all of that and the realness of it.
Honestly do not appreciate it.
Yeah, it was hard.
I mean, it is literally 20 minutes of beep, boop, boop, boop. Is anyone out there? Hey ho, Rose, or whatever it is. You Earth people are too uncivilized to play our space golf.
I need to start in the context of why I chose 0 Hour.
Because Shatner was in it?
No.
Oh.
I don't know if you recall that earlier I was trying to find at least one series that starts with each letter of the alphabet.
Oh, that's right.
And I hadn't gotten Z yet. We're still missing one that I can't think of off the top of my head. But yes, I'll get it. So I knew that 0 Hour was a good option for Z, and some listeners had also pitched this to me, so I knew, like, this is the one I'm going to listen to. I listened to a few of them and discovered that the commercials are still there. I was just like, I love these commercials so much.
Yes.
You got to listen to more of these because the selection is big of the fun commercials.
Yeah.
And then when I listened to this episode, the combination of William Shatner, Casey Kasem, which I didn't put him in the intro. I'm assuming most people kind of know who Casey Kasem is. But if you don't, radio personality, did Billboard Top 40 radio show for a long time, voice of Shaggy and Robin from the Super Friends.
No, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yes. Thank you.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. This one goes out to a little girl with leukemia in Wichita. Sorry, keep going.
And this story, it fascinates me. It starts with, like, an attempt towards super hard science, being a very specific real space station, talking about the solar panels broken, damaged the fuel pod, and, like, things that the attitude of the space station is off, and all these things are really crunchy and, like, yes, this is believable, and then it slowly slid into, like, these terms sound like gibberish of gamma sensors. And then when it got to monotone Martian guy, like,
Right.
They pulled
monotone. He sounded like he was trying to stifle a belch the entire time he talked. Like, I'm Hob. I can see many alternate futures, including one in which 0 Hour doesn't suck.
And because I've been watching What If lately, like, it's like the constipated Uatu of
The what now?
Do you know the What If series of comics?
Yes, I've been watching them.
Uatu is the Watcher's name.
Oh, I didn't know that. Mean the big guy in the sky with the giant head that
That's
knows
the
everything?
guy, yes.
Yeah. I know that, dude. Yeah, the What Ifs are great. Let's talk about that, because that would make me much happy. No, so you were with me. The thrill of hearing Serling, who I love.
Oh, yeah.
Not only him, but he's a great writer. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Rod Serling.
He didn't write this, by the way.
No, I'm just saying in general, I love everything about Rod Serling.
Yeah.
Including his story and how he got to where he was. And he's just a really interesting dude.
But how do
And
you
then
make a
Shatner-
story with Captain Kirk and the voice of Robin the Boy Wonder boring?
Right. That's what I'm getting at is like, oh, here we go. And when I heard Casey, the first thing was, okay, so you're going to stop doing these radio transmissions pretty soon, right? And they just wouldn't stop doing the radio transmission bit, and it would not go away. And it was, oh my God, it's so hard to listen to. And again, the payoff on this thing was ludicrous.
I mean, this would have been a tired story 20 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, this wouldn't have made the cut on Dimension X.
Right. I want to point out something to our listeners who didn't know about Skylab that you mentioned in the beginning of this. The other thing that people who might be younger than us don't remember or know, they weren't alive, they wouldn't remember, is that as Skylab was re-entering the atmosphere, and there was a huge watch on it because we were terrified for about 3 months on where it was going to land. And there were, not only Vegas had lines on that you could win money, but they were guessing at the damage if it landed in certain parts would be monumental. And so people were terrified, and people were like not going outside or putting steel structures above their houses. It was crazy.
It was a deal, yeah.
It was a huge deal, and people got really scared as this, over the months, amplified. Like, okay, where's Skylab going to come down? And eventually crashed in the ocean, and we were all fine. But, yeah, that's just a really interesting thing that people have forgotten about, the Skylab crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as one of my creative writing professors said, the truth is no defense for bad fiction. As interesting as the real Skylab is,
right?
It doesn't do much to resuscitate this story. But the one thing I thought was interesting is that it felt like, to me, William Shatner was phoning it in, especially since he's often accused of overacting.
Yeah.
Casey was working his socks off.
Yes.
There was a big discrepancy in energy.
Oh, absolutely.
And it wasn't just a character choice.
And it was unfortunate because Casey's energy makes him sound a little bit too much like Shaggy or Casey Kasem or a DJ. Yeah, or a DJ. You know, like he needed to pull it back, and Shatner needed to bring some more of his Shatner energy to it. That was ironic. You didn't listen to the other 4 of Shatner that week.
No, I didn't know until after I listened to this. I was writing the intro that it was structured like that. The second series, that it would be one actor for all 5 episodes a week.
Are the other 4 available of Shatner for that week?
I don't know.
Now I want to find out.
I wasn't actually that bothered by the radio static. I thought it added a nice texture, and I was just torn about the amazing speed with which everything got done. Oh, he's having health problems. All right, we'll have men up to you in space in 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's not believable, but I don't mind. Like, yeah, you go fast. That's fine.
The writing also was clunky in the sense of letting us know the time had passed and we were somewhere else now. A sentence would be uttered, and then the next sentence you'd have to discern, oh, we're later or somewhere else now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't a music transition, for example, to let us know the time had passed. It's all so unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I liked it better than both of you, but still, the ending was so bizarre and out of left field, and
I'm with
the
you.
clichéest of cliches.
I'm with you on the radio transmission communication narrative style. I think it's a really good idea because, as you said, it started very real. Like, this is very realistic until they started making up words. But I like the idea of it being almost narratively documentary, almost, you know, like we just pieced together some actual transmissions to tell you this story. Yeah. I think that's a pretty cool concept and idea. I think it was grating on the ears.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you need to adjust reality to make it work as a piece of artificiality. And so, yeah, I just felt it was difficult to follow and became impatient with it, I guess, is what I struggled with. And at one point, one of the guys in ground control actually says, "The suspense is killing me." And I'm like, no, it really isn't. It's something else. You better see a doctor because it is not the suspense.
Right? I think it's also, you know, you can't go wrong with, hey, we lost contact with these people. Let's send someone in and finding out they're not there, especially in outer space. That basis of a story, that's a great moment. That's a great story. Like, okay, now we have a space mystery for starters.
Space mystery!
But it's also a little ooky and spooky, but then it just fell apart.
They didn't have a good answer for what's the solution?
Right. The alien with gas.
Hob.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Are you sure that's your name?
Don't give it a name. It doesn't need a name.
The story also seemed to be sort of assert the theme of this is a truth that's been hidden from you, that certain forces keep this truth from the public, that it has no impact. Like, that doesn't mean anything, the fact that you were told to keep this secret.
Yeah.
That didn't really land the way I think it was meant to.
Well, it's that Star Trek Discovery, right? All right. Much stuff happened in the past. None of you can talk about it. That's how we'll explain the canon. Giant conspiracy. You know the rule on conspiracy, like that once it gets above 3 people, the odds of it go down so exponentially, by 3 million % once it gets to 3 people knowing that it can stay. So when you hear conspiracy theories that involve literally hundreds and hundreds of people, if not more, nope. The odds are astronomical.
Especially with Casey Kasem, because he gets on his radio show and he's like, this one goes out to Hob.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars, Hob.
The other unfortunate downside of the end was trying to compare to the glory that is that Beechwood tobacco ad.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. He struggled to make sense of it. It's a macho ad, but some of it was strange. I listened to it too many times to try to get all the lyrics. I'm going to be honest.
You got some of them?
A man's world isn't the same anymore with girls in pants. Men just don't stand a chance.
Yep.
I don't have your love of 70s radio commercials. This might as well have just been, 0 Hour brought to you by depressing 70s products.
Oh, I'm going to spoil it for you guys. One of the other ones I listened to, there was an ad from, I think, the St. Jude Franciscans, some sort of public service thing that was talking about love and asking child, like, does chicken taste like love? Like, no, chicken doesn't taste like love. What about steak? Does steak taste like love? Like, no.
What?
People taste like love.
Brought to you by Ed Gein. What?
Love, it's made out of people.
This really does taste like love. Oh.
Soylent Love.
Wow.
You know how bad this is? How much time we spent in this podcast talking about anything but this?
So we're being hard on Tim's pick.
No.
I really am excited about this, not because I think it's great, but because it's such a weird mix, a weird moment in time of 70s sci-fi and not quite good enough to be 50s sci-fi, which I don't mean to slam on 50s sci-fi, but it's like it doesn't have a ending that matches the tone of the beginning.
No.
And the fact that it mentions Skylab by name, and it's just a weird little nugget of history.
I want to be really clear. I'm really happy you brought this to the podcast for all of those reasons. All the people that are in it, the era that it was, so that we can contrast it to the style of sci-fi of that time, to Dimension X or X-1 kind of a beginning of sci-fi. There's so many reasons to love having this in our podcast and to have listened to it. Just because I was like, that wasn't great at the end doesn't mean it wasn't great to have in the podcast. Like, it's a phenomenal thing to discuss, and not the least of which is what we discussed. Like, how did you screw this up? You had,
and in all fairness, I think I had a more negative reaction to it because of Rod Serling, William Shatner, and Casey Kasem. Just like, I had this idea of what that team up would be.
You can't miss.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Sure, exactly. But it's what I'm saying.
But now I just can't help but continue to imagine different Shatner, Casey Kasem mashups. Like T.J. Hooker pulling over the Mystery Machine.
Shatner was during the same time period providing a voiceover for the animated Star Trek series.
This is cool. Which is
much better than this.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, to speak about something completely different now that you brought that up, have you seen the Flash Gordon cartoon series at the same time? We'll talk about that when you get off the air. It's as good as the Star Trek animated series.
Oh, the Flash Gordon from back then?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember seeing that when I was growing up.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
It's really good.
Anyway, back to Skylab.
Do we have to?
Skylab, are you there? Have you guys read the novelization by Judy Blume? Skylab, are you there? It's me, Margaret. It's fantastic.
Hello, Margaret. It is me, Hob. It's okay, you are growing up.
I do exist, but you cannot tell anyone.
I would like to vote. Unless someone else has
No.
gems of information. It was so worth the listen for so many reasons. One, it literally was like watching Battle of the Network Stars. It had a bunch of 70s references, the commercials, and I thought it had a premise that was pretty good. Also tying into the Skylab thing that was going on at that moment. And I think it's historically significant to listen to for a lot of reasons. But no, it fails in a lot of other ways. So it's not great.
Yeah, I'm on that same page of this is not a classic. It has not aged well, but it is historically fascinating. Yeah. And I really do want to listen to more of Zero Hour.
Yeah. I think the beach nut ad stands the test of time.
Now we have women in bars. Can you imagine?
Not the bars I go to.
Before I vote, I do want to mention the one thing I forgot to say that I like about this, and that is the jazzy theme music.
Yeah.
I really thought that works. It's not what I expected, and the incongruity I thought was really cool. So, thumbs up for that. But otherwise, yeah, it's of historical interest in that it is a thing that happened in the past, which is now part of history.
Well, there is much of history that I don't mind ignoring.
True.
All right. Tim, tell him stuff.
Hey, please go visit www.ghoulishdelightscomp4030. You'll find other episodes there. Episodes from series starting with 25 out of 26 different letters. And then hope to have a 26th letter here soon. I don't know. You? Maybe it's you? I don't know.
It's always you. Not me.
You can vote in polls, leave messages, request episodes, send us messages, link to our social media pages. There's all kinds of ways.
Talk to us with your Communicube.
And you can link to Threadless and Patreon.
Yes, you can also go to patreon.com/themorals and support this podcast. Now, last week I asked for some testimonials from patrons to record and send to us that we would play on the podcast. But since we're recording these back to back, I have yet to receive one.
So, for you listeners, that was literally 30 minutes ago in our time.
So either we've gotten some and we'll play them now,
or
please send us some. This is really confusing, but it makes a more interesting science fiction story. Skylab, are you there?
If you would like to see us performing live,
don't.
We do live performances. The Mysterious Old Radio Listening Society Theater Company does recreations of classic old-time radio dramas live on stage and a lot of our own original work. If you'd like to see us performing live, please go to ghoulishdelightscomp4030 or mysteriousOldRadioListeningSociety.com. There you'll see every month for about 5 years now, we're somewhere performing. You'll see what we're doing. And you can buy tickets and come see us. If you're not in the area that we're performing in, then you can buy an online ticket and you can watch it the live stream, which is a high quality live stream, or you can pay and buy a ticket and watch the recording of it later. So we'd love to have you in one way, shape, or form see our live shows at mysteriosoldradioListeningSociety.com or ghoulishdelightscomp4030. What is coming up next?
Next, we have a listener request. We will be listening to Too Many Smiths from Suspense. Until then.
Look out!
The suspense is killing me.
Yeah.